Start by just clasping the hands behind the back, pulling the shoulders right back and thrusting the chest upwards. Trying to get the thoracic spine inverting its curve, so leaning back. Pull the chin in so that the neck is stretched. Breathe into it, so gradually it becomes more extreme. And then back to prayer. Feeling the breathing. Just breathe through the small hole in the mouth. So I want to make it a bit difficult to breathe in and especially to breathe out. My diaphragm has to work harder, but also I'm trying to activate the muscles in the lower back and the belly with the breathing. So as I suck in through the small hole to breathe in, I feel the muscles in my lower back tightening. And then as I squeeze the air out through the small hole, breathing out, I feel the muscles here tightening. Just keep going, but now using the hands to mark the breath. So as I breathe in, and then as I breathe out, breathing through the small hole in the mouth makes us very aware of the passage of air in and out. I want to be just as aware of the movement of my hands through the air, like I'm in water and the hands are having to move against the water. And then continue with the breathing, but just open the hands up as you breathe in. And really pull the belly right in at the end of the out breath. And then turning with it. Turning to the corner as you breathe in. Turning back to the front as you breathe out. And then let it slip into pulling in the rope, the one we normally do. And just let the breathing go. up and down. And be aware of the muscles that are contracting to pull the hand down and the muscles that are being stretched to extend the hand up. And then both hands together, pulling the head right back. At the top, try and pull the elbows towards each other, and that will really straighten the arms. Then up and out. One hand over and turning the head and twisting the arms. This action is effectively a figure of eight. Put that arms behind, just holding the elbows. And now just rolling the head, so making a bigger circle as you can with the head. Changing direction. And now let's try that sort of extreme twist. So one hand, pull it right behind. If you're in half lotus like this, then you're meant to be able to hold the big toe of this foot and then twist around here. So that's how far around you'd like to be able to get the hand. And just breathe into it, gradually getting further and further around. So with stretching, you get yourself into a position that's uncomfortable and then relax and breathe into it until it feels reasonably comfortable. And the other side. The other side again. And then the other. Round to prayer again. And now let's rub the hands, and then we'll rub the knees. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and mind in the down chin. The mind in down chin, big toe pushing into the ground when we're standing, and tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. They're all very similar. And then rubbing the knees. We do this partly to ease the knees, but mainly to get this action here, this heaving action, belly tightening, and then my back tightening. Alternating. Really turning the head and the shoulders. Remember, the head is the part of you furthest away from the cushion, so it should be the part that's moving the most. Rub the hands again, and this time we're palming the eyes. And then the hands over the eyes, trying to block out all of the light. So if you open the eyes under the hands, it's black. We're meant to do this for 5 minutes, which doesn't sound very long. 40 years ago now, me and Roberto, we both went and studied Bates' method for visual re-education with a little old lady in East Finchley, North London. And her instruction was to do palming for 5 minutes every waking hour. So every hour that you're awake, I was meant to do this for 5 minutes. Doesn't sound a lot, but it's actually really difficult. And then close the eyes and bring the hands back down to the knees. And then blinking 6 times strong. So really open the eyes wide and then squeeze them tight as much as you can. Then open wide. And again, it's the same action in the belly and the back. So opening the eyes squeezes the back, closing the eyes tightens the belly. blinking quickly and lightly for a few seconds. And then the silent scream. Just bring the hands up. So what we're going to do is we tighten everything. So we tighten the belly to get this clawing action in the hands and the sense of the spine tipping over a little bit. But we also tighten the back to open the mouth as wide as we can. So it's just sudden wow. And then just let it go and shake the hands. So now completely relaxed. And then again, and shake and relax. And again. And then shake and relax. And then a little of the butterfly. Heels are touching, but the soles of the feet are trying to look upwards. easing the weight between the feet and the hands. As you bring the weight into the arms, feel the arms filling up with strength from the ground. It's like tipping water from one cup to another. It's flowing down the arms, but filling up from the ground. And then try and feel the legs similarly filling as you transfer the weight into them. The legs fill up all the way to the sacrum. And then feel the arms filling up all the way to that point on the spine between the shoulder blades. And then stretching a leg. Uh, and then the other. And then the other. Squat. And then let's lean back, lie down and cycle. Think of this as like a yoga inverted pose, a shoulder stand or headstand or handstand. They're so important. And then back up into the sumo squat. The sumo starts this week. Prayer and coming up. Good. And now let's just gently lighten up, jogging on the spot. To lighten up, I have to become single-weighted effectively, slipping from side to side. It's that play that produces the lightness. This is the main problem with seated meditation. It is eminently double-weighted. It's probably why Thich Nhat Hanh developed that walking meditation. Feel your tail just extending down through this activity. The sense that your sacrum is still within itself, even though your body's moving. And now into riding horse. And so we want to be really clear with the difference between spirit and mind. Spirit is like something really deep inside that's bursting to get out. Mind is very much outside. It's very much like an imposition. I have an idea of what stillness is, and so I impose that stillness upon myself. So the spirit is more like that inner child that never gets old. We just learn to crush it and smother it. That's what we're just trying to wake up and just let it filter through and color everything that we do. And the operative word really is play. Big toes pressing down. And that is anchoring the mind. Now let's bring the feet up a bit and just turn. Again, using this as like a machine for generating lightness. Imagine you're a kid and you're taken to the playground by your dad. First thing you do is make a beeline for the swings, because you know that swinging is liberating. That is our sense of turning. It allows part of me to lift and lighten. In medieval times, before the Renaissance, there were two words for mind in Latin: intellectus, which meant the intuitive mind, the imaginative mind, and ratio, which was the rational mind, the accounting mind. And for those people, ratio was just not important when it came to any sort of internal work. What was most important was the intellectus, the intellect. So when you read the Desert Fathers, they're always talking about the intellect, which we tend to think of as the thinking mind, but for them it wasn't. It was intuition or the imagination. The thinking mind is really ratio, the rational. And then the Renaissance and then the Enlightenment came along. And then you got people like Descartes and the other rationalists that just assumed that ratio was the only mind. It's then that they started postulating the possibility of a computer, of a machine that could think for you. Obviously, a machine cannot think creatively or imaginatively. A machine does not have intuition. It's all it can do is add up and deduct. And that's what the mind became. So the scientific mind is basically just a big computer. That's what we're trying to get away from. And then slipping into the second one. This one, you can feel the separation between the 2 feet better because you can get 100% in the foot because it's the back foot. Feel the turning, the centrifugal, throwing something out from a center. It both throws my lightness out and sucks in my heaviness. That's the sort of mind that we're looking for. So the Buddhists say that mind is simply space. This is what the Buddha says, because when you're sitting there meditating and your mind finally settles, then that's all there is. There's just the space you're in. But we want a mind that's just a little bit more positive than that, a mind that can keep everything separate. As soon as I get distracted, everything will pull into a lump and sort of stop moving, basically. So Tai Chi is moving meditation. And really all meditation is moving meditation, because unless you're moving, you're dead. Bring it back to riding horse. Feet angled in a little bit, big toe pressing down. Sacrum feeling like it's wanting to swell and spread your hips apart. You want a body that is fully possessed by mind and spirit. Mind and spirit together, really. It's like a really sort of active, eager, positive mind that just makes sure that all of these bones within my body, they all stay a little bit separate. There's this sense that the air has come in everywhere and I'm raring to go, ready for action. The slightest stimulus and I will respond naturally and correctly. Sinking. Sinking has a very watery quality, liquid. Something is trying to flow down through me, trickle and drip, like water's dripping off the end of my tail. And then the lightness has a sense of the steam evaporating from you. So the liquid becoming gaseous. The sacrum is the heavy bone that's trying to drip down between my legs, and the sternum is the light bone that's trying to float upwards. Then we'll simply move from leg to leg by scooping, extending and scooping at the ground, exactly the same as what you're doing with the arm. The leg becomes empty, which means it becomes potentially active, and then it can start pulling. Let the heel come up, and that will get you even more completely into the other leg and will activate the pulling leg. Feel the sacrum. Sense that the sacrum is really dominating your body. It's the bone you feel most. My hand is reaching out, getting behind someone, and then pulling myself towards them. And my leg is doing the same thing with the ground. I have to reach out beyond myself, and then I draw that right inside. Back to riding horse. Sacrum and Dantian, very much together, very much one thing. Think of the sacrum as like the physical aspect and the Dantian like the energetic aspect. And now moving from leg to leg by bouncing. I sink into the leg like a spring, and I let it bounce me out. Sinking down, the leg sends the energy up, and then I let my body follow that. If you can, with your mind's eye, see this pathway all the way to the other foot. So that before you start coming up, the pathway to the other foot is already established. And feel that imaginative mind, the mind that has enough spirit, not just to see this pathway, but to create it. And then eventually you're doing both. You're sinking into the foot and bouncing out of it, but you're also pulling with the other foot. So your mind is free to roam and dance from place to place because the body's well trained. That's the right force. And this whole area is relaxing open. Sinking down, but by opening the inner thighs, like your inner thighs are trying to roll around to the front. I go down and roll out here. It enables me to go down without leaning forwards too much. And then I just come up and reverse the roll. My sinking is not just getting me closer to the ground, it's opening me up. So that's the knees opening and this refusal to look down. And just register how it feels. So as you get closer to the ground, you get more awake and more fierce and more pain. You feel that, but you don't let on to anyone watching you. You just look serene. Going down and then not being in too much of a hurry to come up. So make sure you get the legs pushing before you let your body come up. The body always lags. And I'll start pushing with the legs and eventually the body comes with it. Let it slip into the tree or the end. So down, then grabbing the ground and bringing something up into the Danchan and then up into the heart, then branching out down the branches, the arms, and pulling something from the sky, the heavens, down into the heart, into the dantian, and then down into the legs again. Think of the legs as being like your roots, sucking something up, sending it up the trunk of the tree, and then out into the branches. The branches reach up and bring down the energy of the sun. And then that gives the roots enough strength to reach into the ground and bring up nutrients. Think of tree beard, those doleful eyes, and the deep, slow voice. Yeah, so trees have a much slower time scale than we do. They can't move quickly. It's bringing it into riding horse, but with that same slow languorousness, and just repeating that, effectively making the two circles, really feeling it, feeling every centimeter of movement. Pressing the big toes down. Feeling the fold in the hip. So as I bring the hand in, I'm folding here. So I'm bringing the weight into this leg, but also really turning, pulling my hip, my iliac crest back to create this angle, and feel the hand being sucked into that. Turning and coming into the foot. So it's really tightening. You're getting closer to the person rather than further away. And you're turning not so much to get out of the way of them, but simply to create the suction in this joint, which can then suck at them and pull them through. And just feel it. The more this folds, sort of closed, it folds, like this, like a piece of paper just folding shut. So the more this folds shut, the more the back of the sacroiliac opens up. And that's where you then pick up this energy and bring it around. So into the front and out of the back. This is very much the wings, bringing the wings around, releasing the energy from the back and bringing it around. Same thing, but with 1 foot forwards. So as I come forwards, I'm sinking into this joint, catching it as it comes out the sacroiliac, and then just circling it around until I'm resting on the cushion of air. Think of releasing these leg wings, the skirt. Another foot. Yielding into this fold. And then picking up the energy here and throwing it around the other person. So what releases the energy from the back is turning and sinking into the leg. And let's bring it back to riding a horse for a sec. And now, pretty much the same thing, but thinking in terms of the figure of 8 around the hips. So, what happens when we do the figure of 8? We're trying to keep those two circles continuous, so it's jumping from side to side all the time, rather than it being two separate things that's happening. So I'm going around this leg, and then I send it around this leg, So the difference is what's happening. I turn and sink here, and that draws this hand into the joint effectively, but it also draws the other hand into the joint. So both hands are pulling into this place. And this hand, the outside hand, comes to the back and brings the energy round. And the other hand just changes direction. You just feel this point of both hands coming in here. So it's really quite strong, that action. There's enough suction, there's enough turning and folding to suck both hands into this hole. Turning and turning. So my left hand reaches behind and brings this energy around, and then this starts folding here and sucks that energy into the opposite leg. Now let's just do one hand. So I'm going around here, and then it gets sucked into this, but it just flips over here, just scoops into the joint, and then comes back out and into here. As well as there being a figure of eight going around my hips, there's also a figure of eight in the hand. But the bottom circle is just this flick here as it comes into this joint, and then it's a circle as it goes round the other one. And think of the hand just scooping into the joint and cleaning it out, cleaning out the hip joint, the hip socket, and then the other hand. So the left hand is now being sucked into the right hip, where it just scoops over like this, and then it gets sucked in here and is thrown out with the energy from the back. So round into here, and then into here and round. And then we can get both. Effectively, it's the figure of eight exercise, but it's a bit more complicated because when we do the figure of eight exercise like this, if anything, we imagine the right hand is scooping under the right foot and then coming up and doing the top. So now I'm scooping with my right hand down into my left foot. So there's a cross, two figures of eight cross over. Let's just try the figure of 8 the way we normally do it. So now this hand is going to scoop into this hip rather than this hip. So this is easier. Visualize the socket of the hip joint and feel the hand really scooping in. Good. And now let's try a little bit of this one. Similar to jogging on the spot, just like a slow motion version of that, really. Try and keep your spine in the middle still. So we don't want to move the spine over this foot, the foot that's on the ground, so that I can lift this one. If anything, I'm coming into the foot that has the heel rising. I'm trying to really stress the muscles in my lower leg. Moving in this direction and then in this direction. And then the figure of 8, but using it to lift the foot. So I put the big toe down, and then I go around the foot with the circle. And then as I complete the circle into the big toe, I bring this foot up and let it rest on the leg, either the shin, the calf, the knee, or above the knee, and allow the toes to wrap around the leg. And then I step here, big toe down first, around the heel, around the outside edge, through the little toe to the big toe, and bring this foot up. So whenever we do something like this, we get tense because it's difficult. Balance is difficult. So what I want to do, once I get into position, I want to just relax and let everything sink down. So that's a habit we should try and get into in the form. So when you pick the foot up to step, before you send the foot out to step, just relax. Relax the shoulders into the elbows and relax the shoulders into the hips. So 1, 2, and then I just relax down into the leg. As I go around the foot, I'm breaking here, and that brings me across into the leg, and it sucks this hand in. And then the hand just circles up, so I'm holding the ball. And then I just relax. Relax down into the sacrum, really. So the sacrum, I want the sacrum to feel like it really is big and dominant. And so when we do something that's difficult, then we tend to activate the spirit, because there's always that danger that we're going to fail. And the spirit will tend to make the body tense. And so here my spirit's really charged as I do the exercise, and then I can just relax the spirit really, and that will help the body then just let go into the leg. And then let's just lift the knee. Feel the more you lift the knee, the more I can sink down into my sacrum, and then the sacrum reach down the leg. And then lifting the foot behind. Use this as much to stretch the big toe. So grab the big toe and the little toe with each hand. Pull them in towards the buttock, towards the sacrum, and stretch the two toes apart. Trying to get the knuckles of the big toe especially bending. And the other foot. And one more. Good. And now it's finished, so it's riding the horse. Sacrum heavy. All the joints a little bit open and springy, like there's a little spring inside each joint in your body. Is pulling down. Sternum is lifting up. These feeling like they're rolling out. Looks pretty good. And then bringing the feet up. Big toes almost touching. Little toes feeling that they could extend out just a little bit. Bringing the hands up into prayer, and then down, and then catching the hip wings, bringing them around, and then catching the shoulder wings, the cape, and then up into the head, around, and shrouding the face, and then down. And then again, up. From the Danshan into the sacroiliacs, bringing these two wings around. And then bring it up into the heart, reach across into the shoulder blades, bring these two wings around. And then up into the midbrain, so between the eyes, and catching these two wings of the head, bringing them round, and then down. And then once more. So when we use the visualization and work with it, in a sense, the visualization itself doesn't really matter that much, because what we're training is the imaginative mind, that sense of squeezing outwards that keeps the spirit externalizing into that's the mind we're after, the imaginative mind, the mind that can not just see an image but create it. Imagination becomes reality.